Good morning.
Okay. Where would you like to start? Can I just say, despite cleaning up, Lake's liquid poo first thing in this morning, I'm a little bit happy clappy. Not only is Joe Biden getting us out of our longest war in Afghanistan, getting everything done that Trump said he was going to do. By the way, does MAGA Nation, do you think they know yet that he only built like less than 5 miles of wall and Mexico didn't pay for it? Are they aware of that? And he said he was going to get out of Afghanistan and he didn't, and he said he was going to get you vaccinated and he didn't, and I don't know.
No. Well, first of all, Joe Biden's not president. He's been dead for years, according to their conspiracy theories. Right. Mm-hmm. So it's actually Donald Trump who's doing these things in a Joe Biden outfit.
Oh, God.
Special effects makeup at its best.
You joke, but that is somewhere in the right-wing fever swamp on some...
Probably not
on some channel.
I mean, there is a reason why Joe Biden's approval rating has topped 60% this month.
Yeah.
He's continuing to do things that are not just the right thing to do, but they happen to be wildly popular with the American people. So,
well, whatever you just said already is on 4chan or 8chan or Jackie Chan or one of them. I don't know. Okay. So this made me super happy, clappy. Some Democrats in the Senate and House plan to unveil a bill to increase the size of the Supreme Court from 9 to 13 justices. Yes.
Sounds good to me.
As you know, Biden signed an executive order to create a commission on the Supreme Court. They're tasked with creating a report on the possibility of expanding the court in 180 days. Carl, yes. I say I like the way Democrats are fighting, finally, and Biden, right? It's like what they've done on reconciliation. If they're not going to get any Republican cooperation, he's going to get infrastructure done. And remember how many times Trump's like, I'm a builder. It's one of the best infrastructure week again. How many times was an infrastructure week? He never got anything done.
52 times a year it was infrastructure week and not a single thing happened.
Yes. Yeah. But I mean, I'm sorry. This is the way they stole 3 Supreme Court seats, an illegitimate president in the first place. And so I'm sorry. It's time we start fighting the same way. Absolutely.
I completely
expand
agree.
The court.
This is the first step in righting the court. It's bringing balance back to the court.
Yeah.
And after that, they need to deal with lifetime appointments, because the problem we enter into here is
you are getting a huge yes nod from Sean Comiskey, who is the future. I just want you to know.
That's right.
Okay. The Constitution does say that these are, lifetime appointments, but it doesn't say what the appointment must be. And so if we had some big Supreme Court circuit where justices after, let's say, 15, 20 years would cycle off and only be called on for cases where there's a conflict of interest by another justice, I think we'd be in good shape. And it would make the court far more stable.
Right. Well, I mean, and as I say, I'm sorry, these are stolen seats. One of them is Merrick Garland's seat. What's his name? Judge Rapey McPerjury shouldn't be on the court in the first place. And Amy Coney Island was shoved in after how many millions of people had already voted in the middle of an election.
Right.
By a president that was not even legitimately elected.
Breaking all the standards that they said that they stood for when Obama was trying to put his nominees on the bench. It's the right thing to do. And if anybody cares about a progressive legacy, and not just Biden's, but FDR's and LBJ's and JFK's and Obama's, then they've got to support this kind of a bold move.
Yeah. You know what's it's interesting. The House panel approves the bill to study slavery reparations. So, we're here with this again. It's H.R. 40. Remember the former patron saint of the Stephanie Miller Show, John Conyers, who was the first one to ever call this a news program.
Okay. Yes.
But I don't know why that escaped my memory, Carl, that it was called H.R. 40 because it was referring to the Civil War promise to provide newly freed slaves with 40 acres and a mule, which was never fulfilled and later rescinded by the U.S. government. And so, I don't know what that could entail, but boy, are we at an inflection point with this latest killing of Daunte Wright and the middle of the Derek Chauvin trial. And, I just don't know how anybody can claim that racism is not, unfortunately, alive and well in America still.
It absolutely is. It's very alive. It's unwell, and it's been egged on by a party who's all too willing to accept the benefits of instigating it. Look at what Tucker Carlson is doing on Fox News right now. So, I think reparations
and when you say that, I don't know
by
if you
adequately funding.
I don't know if you mean the virulent racism or the dangerous COVID misinformation, but either, yes, whatever,
Yes,
Tucker,
both.
right.
Yes. And we can start by adequately funding our schools, right? Our schools remain segregated even if the law is no longer enforced to segregate them.
Right.
So adequately fund our schools, adequately fund social services, invest as much in communities of color as we do in other communities. And that's going to be a good starting point.
And stop pulling people over for air fresheners. I don't know. That's a broken taillight or I don't. Okay.
I just saw a video of an African-American man who was pulled over for going 5 miles an hour under the speed limit.
Yes, I saw that. Yeah. I'm sorry. It just doesn't happen to white people. And it's.
Cop was super polite, but he's like, I just was curious if something was wrong. It's like, I've never been pulled over for going 5 miles an hour under the speed limit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No.
Yeah. Oh, some jerk did pull me over for no seatbelt once. Stupid copper. But anyway, my point is, it's just the way these things escalate. I had to look this up. There was a headline: yes, police can pull you over for hanging an air freshener. I'm like, really? Okay. And moments before police fatally shot Daunte Wright during a traffic stop, he called his mother and told her he'd been pulled over for hanging air fresheners from his rear. And then he knew to call his mother because he's a young black kid that, these things don't usually go well, is just heartbreaking. So he was, I guess he was pulled over for an expired tag when officers saw the item hanging from the rearview mirror. And then they found his name on a warrant. And again, the original warrant went to the wrong address. I mean, but all of this, Carl,
well, here's
why?
the kicker.
Like we keep saying, why would you even be tasing him to make a mistake like that? It's ridiculous. As Bob Seska said yesterday, shoot the tires of the car. He was handcuffed and in the car, like he's not getting away. I mean, go ahead. What were you going to say? Sorry.
In my understanding about the tag issue, in places across the country, whether it's COVID related or not, sometimes it can take months to get your tag renewals.
I was just going to say, do you know, I just realized the other day, I only drive my car like once a week to go bike ride, and I realized that my tag, it was expired. I didn't even know it, and I thought, like, for probably months, no one's ever pulled me over for something like that. It's insane.
And in some places, once you renew it, it could take a couple months before they even arrive. So you might be right with the law, but you haven't gotten your stickers yet. And it gives cops an excuse, the only excuse they need to pull you over. They can point to the tags and then try and do other things.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I wonder if you think, Carl, as a longtime campaign strategist, do you think Republicans I feel like they're genuinely surprised at the corporate and other backlash to their voter suppression laws. I really think they thought they could get away with it, or they're so desperate that they know they can't win without them that they don't care. But I think, this latest, right? Hundreds of Hollywood stars, major corporations, top executives just signed. You saw this in the New York Times and the Washington Post, right? Led by American Express and Merck CEOs, right? Mm-hmm. And the companies, it's Target, Netflix, Bank of America, Facebook, Cisco, Twitter, Microsoft, Starbucks, Amazon, MasterCard, American Airlines, United Airlines, Viacom, and then some, big companies. George Clooney, Leonardo DiCaprio, Sacha Baron Cohen, Katy Perry, Ariana Grande, George Lucas, J.J. Abrams, Samuel Jackson, Lin-Manuel Miranda, Joaquin Phoenix, Gwyneth Paltrow, Kerry Washington, Warren Buffett, Michael Bloomberg, David Geffen. The letter is entitled "We Stand for Democracy." That part is heartening, but I think the Republicans were sort of not prepared for this backlash, were they?
No, they weren't. And two things are happening. One, they thought they could use this, regardless of how unpopular it might be with the American people. They thought they could use this to gin up their base, and to let a Trump voter know that though they didn't, steal the election for Donald Trump, that they were actually in the bag all along. And I don't think they were expecting that corporate America was going to turn on a dime here. but corporate America needs to be watched because they're just as liable to turn back on a dime.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
you know, we need to watch where they're giving money. It took only a matter of weeks before the Chamber of Commerce, which said that it would no longer donate to members of Congress who supported delaying the election certification, which, you know, helped instigate the riots at the Capitol. It only took them a matter of weeks before they reversed course and encouraged companies to start donating again.
Yeah.
What's the point of saying that you're not going to, if only, you know, it's a gimmick to get a headline.
I feel like their whole party, Carl, and you know, and their apparatuses like Fox News, they've just become a menace to society. We have Dr. Fauci, Sean, number 4, Dr. Fauci reacting to Tucker Carlson saying, you know, using the J&J thing to jump on it and say, oh, they're lying to you, the vaccines don't work. I mean, there are mountains of data, not to mention millions and millions of us have gotten the vaccine. It obviously, most certainly works. I mean, it's just, you know, in the fact that, of course, they were going to use this use of 6 people out of 7 million having an adverse reaction, which may or may not even be related to that, right? Is
Right.
You know, I know doctors are right now saying it could be wait, I have that. It could be, first of all, hormonal, because obviously birth control pills cause this in much huger numbers for women of childbearing age. But anyway, Dr. Fauci.
Right.
What do you have to say to Tucker Carlson?
Yeah, that's just a typical crazy conspiracy theory. Why would we not tell people if it doesn't work? Look at the data. The data are overwhelming.
Yeah, he went on to say,
In the 3 vaccines that have been approved for use in an emergency use authorization, the J&J, the Pfizer, and the Moderna, you had 30,000, 44,000, and 40,000 people in a clinical trial with an overwhelming signal of efficacy. So I don't have any idea what he's talking about.
yeah. And then the last one.
Well, it's certainly not helpful to the public health of this nation or even globally. You know, I don't want to get into arguments about Tucker Carlson, but to me, it's just, you know, it's counter to what we were trying to accomplish to protect the safety and the health of the American public.
They are. They're
And
just
it's
they're
so-
a menace to honestly the health and just to our republic in general, right? I mean, he's espousing either
remarkably
white
short-sighted.
supremacy or anti-vaxxer nonsense, right?
It's so short-sighted. I mean, his viewers are already dying of old age very quickly.
Yeah.
To further complicate this by undermining confidence in science speaks to just the idiocy. And I guess that's to be expected from anybody who would parrot and trump, you know, well-worn, misleading lies and white supremacist conspiracies.
I mean, Carl, you're someone used to be Republican. My family was Republican. You know, it's this party. So fringe anti.
This existed back in those days, but it was rejected. It was the Booth or the
John Birch.
the John Birch Society.
Yeah. My dad had to deal with them when he was chairman of the RNC.
He had to give him the middle finger,
Yes,
metaphorically
and he
speaking,
did.
and say, "Get out of here."
Yes. But I mean, this is the headline now. GOP legislators pushing anti-vax bills devised by a group associated with the infamous demon sperm doctor. Remember that crazy lady?
Yes.
But they are the fringe. The Republican Party is the lunatic fringe now. Fringe anti-vaccination group has succeeded in getting Republican state legislators to push bills that the website said are stuffed with misinformation and conspiratorial language. In Wyoming, Kansas, Missouri, Minnesota, and South Carolina, GOP state lawmakers have pitched legislation that uses very similar legislation to this. Remember America's Frontline Doctors? That's the name of the group. They describe as a pseudo-medical collection of
doctors had quotes around it.
Right.
Yes.
Of physicians and not at all physicians devoted to spreading the worst possible information about COVID. Their legislation explicitly seeks to ban so-called vaccine passports, also bars employers, including hospitals, from forcing their workers to get vaccinated as a precondition of doing their jobs. Last year, you remember they gained public notoriety. They held a press conference with Dr. Stella Emanuel. That was her name. Remember, Trump touted her.
Yeah.
She was a hydroxychloroquine promoting physician who's made bizarre claims about women getting sick from having sexual relations with demons. And, excuse me. Pardon me. And also making, she also made demands that Dr. Fauci provide her with a personal sample of his own urine. I'd forgotten about that because the demon sex kind of distracted
that's
me.
right.
She was and still is the reigning hydroxychloroquine.
Right.
And it is kind of shocking that she's been dusted off
Yes.
for another round, considering how she was just completely lambasted before.
Yeah.
But Republican state legislators in particular, if you think that Republicans in Congress or the Senate are problematic and inept, you got to look at the state legislatures to see even worse.
That's what's happening in Michigan, Carl. It's the crazy Republican led that are preventing good Democratic governors like Governor Whitmer from doing their job and protecting their constituents. Right. They're just undermining them at every step, and it is an infuriating time, isn't it? This pandemic, we're all like got this much of a frayed nerve left from being in lockdown for how long,
yeah,
and then now we're fighting
doubly
anti-vaxxers, and yeah.